Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to our 2022 UBC Master of Nutrition and Dietetics Program Prospective Students Info Session. I know this is like hands out, everything out in like 2 weeks. We got you here. And thank you so much for joining us. I know I see somebody joining us. Their name is very familiar. I saw you last week. Thank you so much for coming again. For more information, excited information for this master program. For those people who don't know me, my name is Xingyan Fan. I'm the dietetics program assistant and will be today's event moderator. And I know you're very, very excited and interested about this program. So we hope today's session can help and answer lots of your questions and admission procedures, other things regarding this master program. So before I start, again, I have some household information to share with you. This session will be recorded as you see in the beginning. There's a 3, 2, 1 counting down. Don't worry, as my test last week, your face won't show. Basically, it will be just the point slides and later on the Slido or anything that I show on the recording area. And so if you don't want to show yourself, feel free to turn off your camera and please mute yourself for the better quality of our recording. And before I start, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge that I'm presenting from my office on UBC Vancouver campus, which is on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. Our UBC Dietetics program is committed to the ongoing work of the truth and reconciliation, and we do encourage you also take a moment to reflect on the traditional and unceded territory that you are living, working, and playing on. Okay, just a quick glance of today's agenda. I will quickly go through our panelists and our program director will talk about this exciting program, and I will give a short presentation about the mission and other things you may consider, and I'll leave tons of time for you to raise your questions. And you can see I post a QR code, which is the tool we're going to use later. It's Slido, and feel free to go ahead and post your question there. But don't worry if you miss this QR code, it will show again later. I'm also posting this in our chat box now. All right, let me moving on to the next slide. So some of you, if you attended last week, you may know that Tamara Cohen is our director of dietetics, and she's waving there. And my name is there again. And you see I have 2 emails. So you're very welcome to address your inquiry to the second one, which is our generic email. But don't worry, your question won't be missed. I will always keep my eyes on the second email as well. And today we are very happy to have two faculty grad student office member join us. They are first Leah Maria Dragon, who's the admissions and administrative coordinator of our faculty grad office, and program assistant Iris Lee. Also, thank you so much for being with us, and just let you know they have profound knowledge of UBC's faculty of G plus PS and support our admission procedure ongoing. I also want to mention that we have one of our dietetics team member joining us as an audience today, Ali Browse, if you can raise your hand. She's with us today to help us through the entire session. And Ella Wong from the LRF Student Service is also here with us. And last but not least, I want to introduce another person who's Sabrina Lorser, coming from College of Dietitians of BC. Thank you so much for joining us at the last moment. You give us a yes to go. Thank you for being with us. Sabrina, do you want to say hello or wave your hands? Okay. Thank you. Now, before we dive into some topics today, I just want to point out two resources. The first one is our program website. Thanks to our faculty communication team, we just get everything scratched together in a very short period of time, and our website and information is keep updating there. So make sure you keep your eye on our website. And again, this is the email that you can contact me for any inquiries. And I just want to mention one thing that I really appreciate as a frontline person working with all of you, that I really enjoy talking to our students. And this is everything that we just launched in the beginning of November. So questions is emerging and concerns is coming up. And in this preliminary stage, we're nervous, you're nervous, and we just appreciate that you're patient and kindness towards us, and we are going to make our program better, suitable for everybody, and get more people on board. All right. Coming to this point, I just wanna pass the talking points to Tamara. And would you like to talk about something about the program?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So great to be speaking to you today from my office at UBC, which is the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Musqueam people. And as director of the Dietetics program, and behalf of the staff here today, we feel very privileged to be able to offer the MND, the Masters of Nutrition and Dietetics, throughout the entire province, which is really the lands of various Indigenous communities. So this Masters of Nutrition and Dietetics is truly a dream come true, but enough about that, into the thrust of the program. This program is unique. It is a 28-month program that will have a cap of 20 students since we roll up to our full capacity. We will be admitting 10 students in this first cohort with admissions, and Shinyan will go over the process with Leah Marie and Iris with you. 10 students for our first cohort, and a slow increase, steady increase as we go. This was a decision not made by UBC, but by the province, both ministries of education and of health, just to give some insights on that. We do have certain seats reserved for those who identify as Indigenous. And if that's you today, we encourage you to reach out to Shinyan, and we'll guide you in terms of necessary steps. So if any of you are from an accredited program, and if that means anything to you, you'll notice that the MND is not listed as an accredited program, and that's because we are not. The way that it works is programs go through candidacy. So it means that we funnel all of our paperwork, go through an extensive review, and we're very confident in working with the College of Dietitians of BC, with Sabrina and her team, that we will be on the list for September 2022. So again, we are not able to articulate that this is an entry to practice at this point, but we are confident that we'll get there, and that's the goal. So I also want to acknowledge that. This program is set on meeting those national competencies, and that's what accreditation will do, is ensure that we do that. But at this point, I'm going to leave it at that. So Shinyan will go over some of the nuances in terms of those prerequisites. But as you may know, we do have a very strong and solid undergraduate program. This program, the MND, is not meant to compete with the undergraduate program, but rather enhance, and really calls to the province needs of increasing dietitians within the province of British Columbia. So that's another strong point. Graduates of the Masters of Nutrition and Dietetics won't have any advantage in terms of jobs. It's really stressed that it is equality amongst both cohorts. Nuances that differ are really in that curriculum. Being a graduate training program, students out of the MMD will have more critical thinking and refined skills in the areas of research. There are slightly different skills and courses being offered, but again, which will eventually be an accredited program, both programs will hit the mark in terms of competencies. I'll guide the group here now through some of the specifics. So it is a heavy credited master's program. So if you're doing any comparisons out there, we are quite high, but in terms of dietetics training across Canada, this is sort of standard. You'll see a higher credit load. So students would come and they're welcomed into the first semester, where they'll participate in 3 graduate training programs. And then this one in red is our professional practice program, which you'll be seated with the undergraduate cohort. And then you'll carry on through in your January, going through various wonderful courses, participate in our first of 3 nutrition care. So if you're not familiar, dietitians are trained in medical nutrition therapy. And this is where you'll get introduced to that at the get-go. Then you'll jump into practice education, and Ali can answer questions specifically to that because it will mirror our undergraduate program. And this is going to be 13 weeks of length. So you go right ahead into it. And the emphasis here will really be to support those preceptors. So those are dietitians out in practice who supervise student experiences as they relate to research-based projects. So we call this our capstone project. And as in any graduate training program, rest assured, we have your best interests at heart. You will get your 3 weeks off in August. So that's going to be determined there. Then after you're well rested, you'll come back and join us at UBC. You'll partake in various courses. We're very excited to be able to offer a specific business and entrepreneurship course for anyone interested in starting a business or a private practice. And an ask from our Ministry of Health, a leadership in dietetics course, just knowing that dietitians can act as leaders in various health professional programs and within governments and other things within the province. You'll come back in January, partake in your final nutrition care course, brush up on some of those professional practice skills. We're offering an Indigenous health and social justice course in dietetics, which will be offered by Tabitha Martins, a new hire, an Indigenous scholar here in the faculty. And then participate in specific research practice capstone project time. And that would be part of your practice education too. So this will involve students going back out into the community and doing their research project. Unlike human nutrition, so at UBC, you can do a thesis-based program. Your capstone project will be done in pairs. So commonly you'll have a thesis project that's done independently. In the MND, research is done in pairs. So again, one of the key competencies to graduate as a dietitian is those collaborative skills, and that's where it will really shine out here. You'll then start off again in May with, so right out of January, you'll go to April, and then May, your practice education T3, PEP3, that's practice education placements. You'll have your 3 weeks off in August, orientation again, and back at it for the final 13 weeks until December. There is no room for electives at this current time. This is a very cookie cutter type program. It's strategically set up for student success, building on those fine fundamentals of nutrition and learning how to apply it throughout. UBC is committed to, the highest regards of education. In terms of student experiences, we typically have a very, very strong success rate coming out of the undergraduate program. We're very, very confident that the MMD students will keep up to that highest regards. To stress here that practice education placements can be offered throughout the province. And we really want to emphasize that students know that prior to being admitted to the program, in that you might find yourself in remote rural communities. We do not have financial supports in place at this time to support accommodation or transportation that is at the cost of students. We hope with time this can be rectified, but it's very important that applicants and those who are admitted to the program understand that at this time, this is what practice education looks like. And again, Ali's here to comment further. With that being said, British Columbia is a gorgeous province, and those who do find themselves in interior health or northern health, embrace the experience, come back with raving reviews, and everyone is just so welcome and friendly in all the practice education placements wherever you find yourself. If it's in Lower Mainlands, which is more where UBC is housed, if you're not familiar with Vancouver or British Columbia, all the way off to the islands and beyond. Okay, back to you, Shinyan.
Thank you so much, Tamara. Okay, I'm gonna flip to the next slide for you, which is the core part. Everybody is very interested, like how I can apply. Okay, well, some of the information very familiar. If you read our website, you see those information. I'm gonna talk through with you. So I know some of the audience today, you have been attended the last session, the undergrad info session. So maybe some of the information gonna be duplicated, or when I say it, gonna tweak together with the undergrad. But don't worry, gonna focus on your master. So a master program, a graduate level program, we are not only managed by the faculty, but also G plus PS, the grad school is in charge of this. So basically, check out our G plus PS minimum academic requirement is a need. So go click the link. Later on, I'll post it in the chat as well. Check out based on your the country that you finish your undergrad, because this is also related to one of the piece is language requirement as well. So basically, if you're an international student, you hold a study permit in Canada, but you finish your 4-year education in Canada, you're not required to provide a language requirement anymore. But if you are Canadian citizen, but you finish somewhere else, we may encourage to discuss this with Leah Maria and Iris about like, do you need a language requirement? And speaking of the language requirement, our faculty only take TOEFL and IELTS result. For the TOEFL, we need 90 total, and for the IELTS is 6.5 total. So that's the minimum academic requirement. And then going on, very lot of questions about our program specific requirement. We use the word prerequisite, but as a person that working a lot before, I think it should be called program specific requirement. Prerequisite sounds like something that you will count credit into the program, but no, those 5 courses are just require you to have to complete. So we have one human physiology, introduction to biochemistry, one stats course, and one nutrition introductory course, and one introductory food science courses. So for questions I receive a lot is the course occurrency counting. Do my course finish from this university count as your human physiology? Do my this course counting as food science courses? Well, for that, we actually create a self-report form for you. So what will happen is if you click this link, you will go to a website that allows you to just key in all of the courses that you finished from somewhere else. And there's a place for you to upload course syllabus if you think that something can support you. Oh, I do this, and this is something that I finished. And what will happen is the faculty member join Tamara later on to review your application. They will take a look at all of those courses you declare, and then see, we'll double check maybe if you submit your course syllabi, we will take a look at it if that counts as one of the course area. And at this moment, I do want to mention that you can come and inquiry to me that, oh, should I do this course, do that course? But based on the limitation and the capacity, maybe some of the questions cannot be addressed clearly. Like, it's really up to the point that we receive your application and we start to review, oh, this is, this course and that is counting for what. And a little bit piece that's coming up, a lot of students is getting prepared for this program, but we shout out in the beginning of November, so you may be scratching some of the prerequisites. I just want to mention one thing, that if you're in Canada, doesn't matter you're international student, domestic student, if you're in Canada and you're trying to finish 1 or 2 prerequisite courses, and if you can do it before the end of April, you are encouraged to apply, but you definitely need to reach out to us and let us know what's going on. But for students who are somewhere else and you're internationally, this will be a little bit challenging because we do consider about your study permit and the time for you to get student visa. So if we drag this long, and it's also going to be like challenging for your side to get everything prepared. And some of the students asking about, oh, I don't have the nutrition courses or food science courses. The good thing is UBC distance education does offer FNH 200 and 250 as distant learning. So check it out. If you click the link on the website, you will find a lead you to the website that you can find more information. All right, let me see if I cover everything here. I'm gonna move into another slide now, which is the extra piece for the admission as well. So very similar to the undergrad program, we ask your resume, but a different name. In the undergrad, we call cover letter, but in a master program, we call letter of intent, which is a little bit close to like a research-based master or PhD program. You need to submit a piece of, something writing about your passion, what are your previous experiences. So very similar piece. The huge difference I would say is the reference letter. So for the undergrad program, we require two professional reference letters. Actually, you need to download a form from the undergrad website and pass along to your referee, and they will rate for you and write a letter. However, for the master program, we first of all need three. So what is more is one academic reference. So this time you can ask a professor who taught you before to write you a reference letter. Of course, it's master level, a little bit challenge from academic pieces. So one academic reference, and then two professional references again, or you can do two academic and one. Two academic and one professional. So this is a little bit different and give you a little bit slightly, choice. But the challenge is we are using a different system for the application. The grad school's application system will generate a link for your referee. So this time, it cannot be a freehold email account. So let's say Gmail, Hotmail, unfortunately, those email will not receive the system generated URL to let them upload their letter of reference. So make sure that you find somebody have the institution account to do this. So if it's too challenging on the G+PS website, there's a portfolio, the link that you can click. It may have some fee to charge, but do definitely reach out to us or G+PS office to get more information if it has to be some generic email. And then come to the end is shortlisted people will get interviewed. So I'm going to show you the next slide. We'll talk about the interview more. So this is a glance of, take a glance at what's the difference between the two program procedure. You will see that for the BSF and the undergrad program, you need to apply to the BSFN first, apply to the major, so 2 steps, and then some of the transfer credit need to be counted. It's pretty rigid. It follows BC Transfer Guide, UBC Transfer Tool. All the agreement has to be settled there. So that's why FNH 250, 200, those courses not something that you say, oh, I completed it here, does that count? Sorry, no, there has to be a transfer agreement there. But for our master program, that's actually make everybody feel a little bit easy. We only request the course equivalency and it's reviewed by our faculty member. So it's not something that you need to say, oh, this course is transferable. Something is to say that show us the core syllabus, which is covering most of the topics that have been taught in FNH 200 250. We can count that. And similar to the Qualtrics, we need you to upload it self-report form, just pointing out, okay, maybe I take this course, I just give an example, I took this nutrition or physiology course from SFU, just list it there and say what time you completed. So when we look at your application, we can just narrow down on your transcript and doesn't go to like, oh, is this one, the student is talking about this as their, food science courses. So that gives us a narrow down and make your application clear. And then same deadline. And then difference also I already mentioned about the reference pieces. The undergrad you upload it on the Qualtrics website, but for the master program, they will generate a link for you. And then when we move into the review procedure, I just want to point out that for the undergrad program, we already call out a volunteer group. They are all professional registered dietitian across BC, and they will be our review panel to double blind review your application. But for the master program, because of the evaluation system, it won't happen that it's a blind review. Your case, including your transcript, your reference letter, your resume, will all go to our faculty members. They will read through and watch it together. So it's a whole package review. And then going on to the interview level, we will put the shortlist name together and cross-check if you apply for both. And then we will see, oh, if you're eligible in both program, you will be invited for one interview. Okay, so not just like we're not going to like put you here and there interview twice. It's going to waste your time. So let's say if you already eligible for a master, of course, priority is given to a master and come to meet our faculty member for the interview. But say if you're not shortlisted for the master, but you also apply for the undergrad, don't worry, if you still be shortlisted, you will be invited for the interview for the undergrad program. And then to the end, if you're excellent, you're the person we want, and then we will still cross-check if you are eligible or if you've been excellent candidates for both program. Of course, we'll reach out to you if you're eligible for the master, right? Because most of the people prestigiously they will choose master. So we will contact you, say, oh, this is ready for you. Do you want to accept? And then come to the end. But let's say if you are eligible for the undergrad, not the master, pass the undergrad because undergrad seats are more. So maybe you still eligible for the undergrad. That's the two lines of application. Come to the end is if you're eligible for applying both, we do encourage you to apply. It may maximize your chance, but still a quick reminder here, we will charge, or the system will charge you twice for the application fee. The undergrad have a piece of application fee. The master, domestic is around $100. I think for the international student, it's 168 something. So be mindful that you will be charged twice. So that's everything about the admission highlights. Before we dive into Q&A, anything that our panel want to say? If no, I'm going to flip into next.
I just added a few things in chat. So just that all interviews are on Zoom and that the undergraduate program seats 36, maybe 38, depending on the cutoff students per year. And the maximum again is 20 master's students.
Thank you, Tamara.
But again, for the 2022 admissions, we're only admitting 10.
All right, so now a good timing again, 27 minutes, so we have at least half an hour for your question. I'm gonna pull the slide up, slide up. So take a look. I hope there's questions there for us. Oh, not yet. Oh, coming up, 23 questions already. Okay, I'm gonna read the question loud out, and then so some of the questions I can answer on spot, but now then I will pass to our panel. Okay, the first one, if we don't meet the grade requirement for one or two courses, can we still apply? I assume you mean the prerequisite. So it's a firm ground, 72% above. So you are you have to meet the 72% above. But if you are like trying to upgrade it, if you have a repeated course, we will take the higher grades that you complete. This is also different the way that counting as undergrad. I think the undergrad will, average it, but for the grad, we don't want to make it like really, just focus on academic. But if you pass the line 72, we consider the higher grades. Are there scholarships available for students applying for this program? Unfortunately, at this moment, we don't have a lot of opportunities for scholarship. Also, it's because it's a professional master program at UBC. You can check it out. Usually for professional master training program, there's not too many opportunities for applying scholarship, but we are for some of the donations. We are working with the field to see if we can gather some funding opportunities for our students. Even small amount helps. But at this moment, sorry, unfortunately, there's not all opportunities. Tamara, do you want to say something?
I'll just add that we did receive a generous donation from Fridays for a $2,000 scholarship per year for students specifically placed in rural or remote communities. So we're working on some of the language on that, and that will be posted publicly. But that's specifically to support practice education, accommodations, and travel.
Thank you, Tamara. Yeah. Um, okay, this is a big one. How much research experience is preferred in an applicant? I think Tamara can answer that one.
Yeah, I'm so excited about the research experience that you will gain from the MMD. So, in essence, none is actually needed. We want you to be curious about research, knowing right from the get go that the program will be teaching you how to do evidence based research in dietetics. That's all you need. You just need a passion for wanting to learn.
Awesome. Yes. Research, here we go. How are the courses within the program taught? Are they held in person, virtual, or both? So I know the pandemic is still going on. Everybody is very nervous about the current situation, but we already, for the undergrad, it's all back to in person. And also for the master's program, of course, it's in person. Plus your experience of practice education, we will guarantee that you have the in-person learning opportunity here. Next question. Can we complete the self-report form before we apply so that we can see if our courses are equivalent? Great question. I start receiving a lot of students, filling this form and somebody repeatedly fill it. That's fine. You can, if you feel like something needs to change and you cannot pull the submit result back, just fill another one. But I can take a quick look. But again, I'm not a faculty member. I'm not a registered dietitian. I cannot say much. Like this is something we confirm for you. It's equivalent. This will leave the faculty member review your syllabus, your course transcript to do so. Some of the tool you can use is called UBC Transfer Tool Search. That piece can help you to see if it's on the transfer ground, that's already counted as equivalent. But if not, it will leave up to you to do some research and also back to the word research again. So it's a master program. So we do rely on you to do a little bit due diligence and see or compare our core syllabus and your core syllabus. Do I cover those knowledge? And we put out those prerequisites also because it's necessary for your master program. If you don't know those knowledge, then it will be very challenging for you to enter the program. So you better just check it out by yourself. And if you have more questions, email us. Okay.
I'll just add to that. We really encourage you to upload all your syllabi, and it's very important that we see what was taught week by week. So having learning outcomes of the course isn't sufficient. From a faculty standpoint, we really want to make sure that you have the fundamentals to be successful in the program.
Awesome. Thank you for this very key point, what you're looking for, Tamara.
And
Yeah. How can applicants stand out in applying for the MD as opposed to BSc? I mean, the MND, I guess. That's a good one. How can applicants stand out in applying for it? So again, I said there's a two different review procedure. So it's really case by case, and I think Tamara told me we hold a different ground of reviewing applications. For the undergrad, there's very solid ground. There's 30% of the prerequisite counting, and it's 54 credits counting. They're quite competitive, and plus review for the cover letter and the resume. Those things are double blind review. The procedure is different than the I would say so. The perspective approaching the application is also different. For the master's program, you can review by the faculty members and they see everything. There's no really somebody is hiding or your referee is hiding. It's just there. So it's more a different procedure. Tamara, I saw you open a mic, so do you want to add on?
yeah, again, and I think Ali can contest to this. Ali spearheads the undergraduate admissions we just want to make sure that applicants have a passion, a curiosity for the dietetic practice. We don't necessarily need to have people volunteer with dietitians or have specific nutrition experience. It's just really, again, wanting to be curious about the profession, have a clear understanding to what dietitians do. We expect that you do due diligence. Go visit the College of Dietitians website, get some understanding to the fundamentals of the practice. Equally, our website has some, information on that as well. But again, as Shinyan said, there are separate admissions processes that will be done independently.
Yeah. Always a million question that what does a golden applicant look like? But I wish I had $1 million to answer that question. But every time we see you as a whole person to review your case. So like Tamara said, bring your passion and showcase the high note you had in your experience. And I encourage everybody to apply, but it was like I always worry like I encourage everyone to make a really competitive pool. But to my point, like you try it, you try your best to do it, something will come. So coming up with the next one, how are the practice education placement assigned? Do we see them out ourselves or will the program match us with a site? Great question. Tamara or Ali
Yeah.
can talk about the practice pieces.
Go ahead, Ali. Yeah.
Sure. So, the program seeks them out. You don't have to seek them out yourself. They're part of the curriculum. You're not kind of attached to just one site. We have a variety of different types of placements that you will do and in different areas around the province too. So it is part of the education component. There's competencies that you are achieving in those. So it's not just like an internship where you're just getting work experience. It's actually part of the training and the learning too. And so the program will find those and seek them out, and there'll be some opportunity for student preference and kind of matching you with them, but you don't have to look for them on your own.
Thank you, Ali.
I just want to chime in that practice education is the best. It's the best time ever in the program, and Ali can contest to that. It's really when you get to, take what you've learned in the classroom and apply it. And again, very unique is the master's program. Building off of the undergrad is UBC guarantees placement, as Ali said, to all students. We have staff like Ali, who's incredible, to go out, create those relationships, legal agreements with various sites across the province. And to stress again that those sites are, we do put in preferences, but it is possible that you're going to different communities.
Yeah, awesome. So that's really linking to the next question, which is the number. I guess we have limited seats is also because of the practice education resource that we want to guarantee every student will have equal education opportunity in the practice education. So yes, for now, we say 10 students for the master program.
And this will build. So if you're not successful at getting in the program this year, don't fret, because every year we're going to build, and we're going to do, sort of our scan and increase the program. And we were confident within 5 years, we'll be able to hit that 20 student mark. So again, we will get there. But for this first year, it's 10 students, and every year we're going to build on that.
I also see some of the pieces. Thank you so much, Liam, is answering some questions in the chat. Can we submit more than 3 references? I think no, because the eVision system will only allow you to put in 3 reference email address there. So that's it. So please don't submit more. Do a little bit selection, and I believe you will find the best person to endorse you. Okay. The next question, does it matter when the prerequisites were taken? Some programs ask for them being taken in past 2 years. No. Tamara, yeah? I was telling students, no. Yeah, so
no.
It's because our goal, some of the people who contacting us are in the field in another country, practice 10 years. So now I ask you to give me your education background. It was, of course, 10 years ago. But what do you bring in is your 10 years practice in the field, maybe in another country. So that's also make a different case. So that's why I'm saying everybody is so different. You may have education experience, you may have working experience, right? So just do the best you can. Okay. I coming from SFU where we don't use the percentage on 4.3 scale. How do the grade transfer to UBC? This maybe I'll ask Leah Maria, like how we calculate an SFU student for the minimum.
Yeah, so in that case, the minimum required for a student from SFU would be 3.3 out of 4.3 scale. So there is no need for you to transform the grade into percentage. We will look at the grade, as I said, with a minimum of 3.3 out of 4.3.
Thank you, Leah. After completion of the MND program, what is the degree that is awarded? Do you get an MSc degree or potential, I think, a license to be a dietitian? MMD is the degree name. Master of Nutrition and Dietetics is this program, and also this is the degree award to you at the end of the day. And potential license, I think Tamara mentioned that in the beginning of the presentation, that we are on the way to get our candidacy, but yes, eventually we will make this realize in the real situation that you will get the chance to take the exam and become a registered dietitian.
Right. So right now we can't state that we are in a position to have you to be entry to practice to license, which means you complete an exam. But we're confident that the program will be at that status by the time students are admitted.
Awesome, thank you. There's a question I think I didn't declare clearly. Yes.
Sorry, Xinyan, I just thought of something else with that. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
I've been asked this quite a few times, so I'll address it here. Can I do a PhD after I get my MND? And the answer is yes. So the program, again, is strategically set that you would have the necessary skills in research to be able to enter and successfully, well, hopefully, but you would be eligible for a PhD.
Yeah, we have quite a few faculty members, like Tamara herself as well. Quite a few faculty members here, they are RD and also hold a PhD degree. So that's the question. And I guess I didn't declare in my presentation that you can apply both programs, the undergrad and the master, but make sure you do review the differences regarding the admission requirement. They are quite different, especially for the undergrad. There are 54 required credits. Because when you enter into an undergrad program, you're not done your degree yet. Even you say, I have a degree, but that's half of the degree counted for the 54 prerequisites. They're the right word to use, prerequisites. That's everything being counted towards your degree achievement. And then you have 3 years to complete the rest of the credits. But for the master, you're counting from the beginning. So you're encouraged, if you're eligible, to apply for both. And of course, by the end of the day, we will cross-check the applicant and see if you shortlisted. If you shortlist for both, you of course will be contacted once for the interview. Okay. Seeing as McGill is the only other program in Canada with a currently established MND, how will this program compare? Are you using their framework? I think Tamara.
I commend this person for this question. You have done your due diligence. Well
awesome.
Done.
Yeah.
So the MND is sort of established on a similar framework to McGill's their credentialing program. The key difference in that is, again, they do also have a capstone research project, but it's just in a 3-month stunt versus ours is really spanned out. The other difference, and you'll see that, is they have a qualifying year, which we do not.
This is a very great question. In which sectors specifically has there been an identified need for dietitians in the province? Where is the highest demand? Great question. I want to pass this to Tamara, and then maybe
Sabrina.
Sabrina can also answer that. Yeah, Sabrina from the college knows best.
Sure. Yeah. I would say any of the practice areas. I would say there's kind of a higher need for, not higher need, but I would say usually a lot of grads end up going into clinical work right away, just because there are more clinical positions in the province. That being said, I think there's always a high need for food service management. That's an area that I used to work in and I really loved. So I think there's many different practice areas you can go into. That's the nice thing about being a dietitian is like really the world is your oyster, and there are so many different areas that you can work in as a dietitian.
All right, thank you so much, Sabrina, for the insight. For MND, what quality are you looking for in potential candidates for the program? I think we already answered the question. Like we generally give the guidance that be the unique you. Okay, do you. That's what I learned recently. Be yourself. Really show yourself on this application stage, like who you are, how you achieve your previous academic history, and what do you do for your working experience, volunteer experience, what is a passion toward this field. Honestly, I reviewed some of the cases in the undergrad previously, lots of great stories I can tell you. So everybody bring your own lens into this application. That's what we're really seeking for. Are there circumstances in which someone can request to remain in Vancouver for their practice education, living with partner who cannot relocate? Great question. I want to start a little bit. Maybe Ali can address a little bit more. In the current model, we are consider a lot of requirement like this. Students will have special needs, accommodation need, and accessibility need. In the program launching and in the practice education, facilitating, we do consider those things when we place student into it. And there will be questionnaire sending out for you to fill out. There will be chance for you to have an advising appointment with our coordinators, educators to talk about this. So potentially, yes. Ali, do you have something to add on? It's good.
No, I would just kind of mirror that to say, we recognize everyone has unique circumstances, and maybe you have dependents, you have a range, you have like a chronic medical condition too. Like there's a range of different reasons why someone may not be able to relocate, and so we do have a process to kind of submit and review that. Yeah. And we do want to kind of look at, equity in terms of how we distribute placements. We have placements across the province, so, we do want to utilize those as much as possible. But we do have an opportunity, like a option for students to kind of request an accommodation.
Thank you, Ali. How would you compare the research experience in this program to a master in nutrition thesis base? Is there any benefit to do purely a research base? Great question. Tamara, do you want to address that?
Yeah, sure. So really, this is where you have to think where your end trajectory might be, what your goals are. Students who go into a purely thesis base, the differences are, well, you're not going through a program that would set you up to be a registered dietitian. That program is typically for those who are curious about certain questions or science. It's one big project that you complete. The capstone projects that are going to be offered with the MND program will be a collection of projects that will be governed and supported by preceptors. So those are those dietitians in practice who have questions about their own practice. You might find yourself in a different health authority. So that's like a hospital setting to answer some questions, or out in the community. You'll be doing this in pairs versus a thesis base is always, always, always independent. In terms of the skills that you would gain from both, they would be the same. I envision us having different methods of data collection. There will be a large seminar or symposium at the end where all students will disseminate this and present their findings to our whole community. And that's sort of what you would do in a thesis-based program.
Awesome, thank you. The next one is also about the prerequisite stats on applications and acceptance of the students from outside the province. Sorry, I guess this is not prerequisite. Sorry, I understood it wrong. I thought it's a statistics courses from out of province. Okay, I'll go through again. Stats on applications and acceptance of the student from outside the province. We don't know. The answer is we really open the application now to all of the students. So this will be the first year, and we really want to see a spectrum of applications. So welcome everyone domestically, internationally. Okay. Are we going to have a last chance to get admitted if we apply near deadline date? No. So all of the things will be start review after the deadline close. Cut it off, application close, we start open everybody's cases. So don't worry, throw your application, slide in at the last moment is totally fine. Oh, the flip is very quick. If you hold more than 1 degree, which marks do we consider when we apply to programs? So I would say the American add-on for the general academic requirement for the program-specific review. Again, you declare what specific course you complete in which specific institution we should look at on the specific transcript. Okay, so if I said there's repeat course happen, right? You take in one institution, finish one course, and in the other institution you do another one. Just declare that way. We just locate those on your specific transcript. But generally, if let's say you complete 2 degrees, Leah Maria maybe can answer that question.
Yeah, okay. So in terms of graduate studies, you are required to declare all post-secondary institutions that you have attended to, regardless if it was for one course, if it was an exchange, you have to declare everything. And the basis of admission for a master admission will always be the undergraduate bachelor degree. If you have more than 1 degree, and let's say that the bachelor degree's GPA or average does not meet the minimum required for admission into a graduate degree at UBC, then we can have a look at the next degree that you have obtained. And if that GPA or average is better than the undergraduate degree, that will be helpful. But as general requirement, the minimum, the basis of admission for admission into a master degree would be the undergraduate degree.
Thank you, Leah Maria. The next one is also great. Can we be accepted conditionally if we have 1 or 2 prerequisite courses to complete? So I drew a timeline when I was doing my presentation. For domestic student, if you're missing 1 or 2 prerequisites, you have to complete by the end of the April. And tomorrow also show you the entire program, very rigid schedule. It will be very challenging that we accept you and give you time to complete a prerequisite course, because you have a rigid time schedule already for your master, and then you need to coordinate together with our IFS student services to find a spot for you to get into the undergrad course. That's going to be, first of all, hard administratively. Second, on your burden of study and mental health, I would think that's very challenging. So that's why we need to secure you finish all the prerequisites before entering into the program. Do you have any recommendation for resume and letter of intent? I'm going to answer that quickly. That's also the way show who you are. So thinking about applying a job, what's the resume and the cover letter looks like, you tailor it for yourself that represents you. So that's also part of the things when they take a look at it, see a different perspective. Okay. After finishing the program and able to become a registered dietitian, are you only recognized in British Columbia, or can you practice anywhere in Canada? Great question. Can we ask Sabrina or Tamara to answer?
Yeah, I can take this one. So yes, after you finish the program, you can register in any province that you like. So it could be BC, it could be Ontario, wherever you wish. Once you become registered, you also can transfer your registration to any province that you wish. It's through a process called labor mobility.
Thank you so much, Serena. Yeah, so lots of opportunities after you become an RD. Are there any possibilities to take a break during the program? Good question. So we are on a very rigid schedule, of course, but life happens, right? Anything happens to anybody, and there will be room for some of the negotiation with the program if you want to take a break. but there's a point that you have to come back at the same term. This is very similar to the undergrad program because basically we have the student together as a cohort. It's lined up with your practice education schedule. So if you, let's say you finish your first term and something happened to you, come to us and come through maybe accessibility services or any other help. We get you help, but when you everything complete done on your own side, you need to come back at the same time. Let's say you're out in the beginning of the year, you're back the next year at the beginning of the year. Okay. Are marks for the course calculated based off accumulate base or last and final marks only when repeat? I think will be final, right, Tamara? Yeah, she's nodding. Okay. Can we, oh, wow, can we apply UNSERC and research funding for our capstone project? Great question. Tamara, go ahead.
I mean, that would be incredible.
I love this.
But unfortunately, no, the program isn't set up to support those funding opportunities.
No, yeah. Yeah, we are a professional program, not a research-based program. If you're research-driven, that's what your goal is. Okay, I guess we answered this one. Should we highlight our research experience and interests in the letter of intent resume, even if research experience isn't required? Yes, you can. I would say yes, you can. It's really, again, it's really up to you how you wanna, put yourself out. This is something you want to highlight, go for it. And if you have other things, you just tape it out and put it together as a package for us to review. Okay, I'm an international applicant and I have a bachelor's in nutrition, but my GPA is slightly below minimum. Do I still stand a chance to get admission? So generally speaking, it's a little bit challenging. That minimum requirement is set by G plus PS. That's a hard ground, I would say. That's a very hard ground to do that you have to pass. But if you really have a passion, I would say reach out to the program area. I think Leah Maria opened the mic. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's true. So let's say that your average is slightly below the minimum required. However, all the grades required for the prerequisites are met. In that case, I strongly advise you to submit an application, and the committee, when reviewing the application, will take into consideration the fact that you have met all the prerequisites requirement, but the average is slightly below. In that case, if they consider that everything else in your application is a plus, then they could make a case for you and be admitted with slightly below minimum required. But again, it's up to the evaluating committee to decide.
Yeah. Okay, this is complete. How long after graduating can we write our dietetics exam? Tamara, do you know that?
Well, we can let Sabrina talk a little bit about the Canadian exam.
Yeah, so the exam is held in May and November each year. So if this program, you come to the end of your program, winter, would that be December?
Yep.
December. Mm-hmm. So then you would be writing in the May exam of the next year. And so in between that time, once you finish your program, you're eligible to register as a dietitian. You would just hold what we call a temporary license. And then once you write the exam and are successful, which you will be, your temporary license gets kind of basically just gets converted to a full license.
Okay, thank you so much. Should I declare all courses if I have taken that meet the prerequisite requirement or just one course for each? I will answer the question this way. I think some of the students talk to me that credit-wise and the equivalency-wise. So put it in the course that you complete that matches with the course that we listed there, which means that, so let's say if you are taking two courses somewhere else that's covering our biochemistry introductory pieces, you probably list 2 courses there and submit the syllabi to us to review. So you need to include 2. And if it's just 1 course covering everything, just go ahead and put 1 in. We don't have a lot of time yet. I will take maybe 1 or 2 more questions. When will the interview take place? Great question. So we'll, around the middle of March, or the early April period of time. So this the placement finding question, we do not have a MND student yet. So but based on the undergrad program, most of the time successfully we have students in the placement. What are the accessible emails for professional / work related reference if they don't align with academic institution? So again, if they are not, the email address is at gmail.com, at hotmail.com. If it's something like at I think like health authority here, they have Fraser Health something ca. So those also count as an institution. Also for companies and other organizations, if you have something like at some.org, or those are not counted as generic emails. Okay, it's almost a time. I'm gonna close this. I'm sorry that not all of your questions can be answered, but we really approached to our time, and I want to thank you so much for your time, and thank you to our panel as well for joining us today. And Leah, Maria, and Serena, Ali, thank you for answering the questions, supporting this session as well. And if you have more questions, if your question is not being addressed during this session, feel free to send me an email, dietetics.admissions@upc.ca. And this video, this entire session, recorded video, will be posted as soon as possible on the website, so you can revisit those answers again. And thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope you have a good night.